I'm doing a bit of a different video today. I was contacted by one of my tribe members, Kiki. Kiki has her own YouTube channel. It's called Kiki's Classic Rock. And I want you to check out her YouTube channel, and I'll put a link to it in the description. And what she wanted me to do was basically talk to her audience. She also has a radio show, and we're going to do an interview on her radio show of how to survive the pandemic when they, as artists, have not been able to perform in public, and how they can basically monetize their fan base and do it through using a YouTube channel. And I'm sharing with them how I have done that and how I think they can monetize their fan base and basically change their dependency from either doing live shows or if they're lucky enough to have a contract with a record company to change their life. And I think it's all part of my effort to let the world know there's a new way to do things. You don't have to be dependent on the big guy. You can take charge of your life, particularly through digitization of your creativity, and build a business out of it, much as I have done with my financial channel. So this is a different kind of interview or a different kind of video for me, but I think maybe that it'll open a lot of people's eyes is there's another way to do it and there's another way to be successful, and you don't have to depend on the establishment, and you don't have to depend on a 9 to 5 job. Take your creativity, build a fan base, and then monetize it. So watch this. It's a pretty long video, but I think it'll be worth your time.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
I've learned a lot from you, and I feel like this is a great entry point for us because I really have. And like I said to you, Carrie, I know a lot about you because I watch you every day. But tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, my wife Nita tells me I say this too often. I'm 76 years old, and I say that because I want you to know it's not too late for anybody. Okay, you can make out of yourself whatever you want. Um, as Kiki knows, and if any of you have read my books, I'm dyslexic. I barely made it out of high school. The only reason I graduated from high school was I was a good football player. I was a good linebacker, and I actually got inquiry letters from the University of Michigan, Amherst, the United States Naval Academy, but I didn't hit. My grades were terrible. I had a D plus average. Um, but back then, they had what they called land grant colleges, and if you stayed in your school and went to a land grant college, they had to take you. And so I went off to college, and I was there. I was a walk on for the football team, and the assistant football coach called me in early and said, "Look, well, you're not big enough. We're a Division I school. We're just going to beat up on you, and you're never going to play. So why don't you just study and don't show up to practice, and I'll give you an A for the whole year." I said, "Okay, I guess." I mean, I cried. I was hurt.
Yeah.
But that A is what kept me in school. It gave me the ability to push my average high enough. And as I came down, I needed a B in one other class. And I liked economics, and I went and made a deal with the economics teacher. If I could ace the exam, would she give me a B? And she said, "You haven't gotten better than a D on any of the quizzes. How are you expecting to ace the exam?" And I said, "One way or another, I'm going to read that book." And I did, and I got a 92 on the exam, and she went ahead and gave me a B, and that kept me in college. And I guess, Kiki, what I learned from that was I could achieve anything that I needed to achieve if I would put my mind to it and if I would put the work in. And that's pretty much the way I've run my life. I had other things that affected me dramatically. I wrote a book when I was in my late 60s. After I left Ameriprise, the financial firm, I had sold my business for about $2 million, but I recognized I made the same mistakes throughout my life. I read an article that said that I should take a list, a yellow pad, and write down um, those those days that I remembered in my life. And I came up with about 75 of them. And then the exercise said, put it away, hide it from yourself, and come back a month later and make another list. And I did. And I realized that there were a number of days that appeared on both lists. And they happened in the first 14 years of my life. And I realized that those 14 days formed my character. And the number one day was the day that when I was 8 years old, when my father came and told me that my mother had died. And so I realized that my character was formed by those 14 days. And I realized that the roommate that I had in my head was as a result of those 14 days. And if I could overcome them, and if I could answer them to my satisfaction, I could take control of my mind. And that is my biggest asset today. I control my mind, literally to the extent that when I have a conflict, like I said I had with the builder of these houses, I have to settle it. I have to get it out of my mind, put it to the side so my creative mind can continue to work. And if I can do that, I can achieve anything and everything that I choose to do. So that's kind of who I am. How I got into this is after my daughter died, I got into real estate. I promoted my houses with video. I realized that when I started talking in my videos about how Zillow was taking over the world, the real estate world, and how I believed that Amazon would probably buy Zillow in order to convert my house to a smart house. And if they could be involved in the real estate transaction, they could entice me to make my house a smart house with Zillow or with Amazon, because I know the future of this world is all wrapped around data. And my personal data they already own, although I own it, but I don't get paid for it.
Kind of, sort of, right?
Kind of, sort of, maybe, yeah. But once they get 5G and get in my house, the amount of data is going to quadruple. And so I believed that Amazon would buy Zillow. And when I did those videos, my viewership just skyrocketed. And I realized what I really needed to talk about was investing. And that took me to where I am now, where I have about 150,000 subscribers and have a very loyal following. And that then took me to getting involved with another passion of mine, and that is finding a cure for cancer and keeping my daughter's memory alive. And I got involved with the Children's Hospital here. And I got to thinking, I'm raising about $2,000 a month for the Children's Hospital. And I thought, well, what if I could get a celebrity to do the same thing I'm doing and create the cash flow that is possible through YouTube. And they got involved in not necessarily supporting my passion, but their passion. And if we could do that, could we put the nonprofits out of business? And I want to explain why I want to do that. Shortly after my daughter died, I went to Atlanta to meet with the American Cancer Society. My fraternity brother, John Zeffrin, had been the CEO of the American Cancer Society. So I Googled him, and I found out that the prior year he had made $2.4 million as the CEO of the Cancer Society. And I thought, that just doesn't seem right. it's a charity. So being an ex-financial advisor, I knew how to find their tax return. So I found their tax return and I went through it, and I realized they had raised $860 million that preceding year. John got 2.5 of it. The employees and got in salaries and benefits 55% of what they raised. They spent another 35% on advertising and promotion in order to raise the same amount of money the next year. And so when it came down to actual what they put towards their cause, it was 10 cents on the dollar. And none of it was going to cancer research. It was all going to making people comfortable as they take chemotherapy for cancer. And so
how did that irritate you? That must have made you irate.
I was pissed. And when I added that anger to the anger that I had for God, for taking my mother, for taking my daughter, took my mother when I was 8 years old, took my daughter when her son was 8 years old, I said, there's something wrong here. Well, I got very angry, and I started venting my anger. And my wife, Nita, announced one day that you need to find something else to do or find another place to live. So I chose option A, and that took
that was a good choice, Carrie.
That took me to YouTube. And where I am today is that I'm hoping I'm being guided and that I can help other people. And you contacted me, and actually you contacted me before I ever had this thought of monetizing celebrity. And we had scheduled that we would do a show. And it came together, and I said, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I'm supposed to meet with Kiki, and maybe I'm supposed to tell her audience that there is a way other than working with a record company and being abused and misused to take control of your life and take control of your earning power and use the digital economy to create a new life for yourself. And I think it is so possible. As I say, I got off the phone with the husband of this prominent country western singer. I'm not going to use her name because it may not happen. And he was explaining to me, she's 50 years old, and how the music industry the country music industry doesn't want to play women's records. They want to play music.
Really?
Huh?
Really? I did not realize, because it seems as if women are very prominent in country music
in the last 3 years. And I suspect it may have something to do with her age as well. And as I said to him, there's a long line forming behind her trying to replace her. And so I gathered, and it's a blended family, and they have 7 children. And I said to him, I said, look, the key to your wife's future and your future is your children. And he said, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, there's 14 million country fans that are teenagers. Right now, they're wrapped up in Taylor Swift. Okay?
Who I know you love.
Huh?
I know you love her.
I do love her. But for her business mind.
Yes. And she's very charitable as well.
Yes, she is. And I said, so you need to use your children to gain you entrance into that area. And you need to create a YouTube channel. And I said, and I don't want to insult you by this, but your family reminds me a lot of the Kardashians. And you know what they have done with social media.
Sure do.
Okay.
Sure do.
Do they have any unique talents? No. Other than they're sharing their life with their audience. And as I said to him, that's what you need to do. You know,
Yeah.
your wife's going to play at a concert, and she will go forward and she will sing her songs on the stage, but that's all that anybody will know about. They won't know what happened backstage. They won't see the interaction with the singers, won't see with the interaction of the warm-up act. They don't know how you got here. And they don't know that you spent 48 hours in a bus driving down here and you're sick to your stomach. They don't know that, but they want to know that. They know that about the Kardashians. Just take a lesson from them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So smart.
And then when you have these people that you're interacting with, give them something that no one else can give them. And he said, and what is that? Hope. Hope. Say to them, look, if you have a talent, if you have a skill, I have an audience. If you will share that skill with me and it's actually good, I'll share it with my audience. And maybe I can help you achieve your dream. And if I can help you achieve your dream, I will achieve my dream. And then maybe we can find a little money in there for helping people who really need our help. And that's the beauty of what has happened. We have stolen the network TV audience, and we now have control of it. And we can make it whatever we want to make it. And we collectively can come together as a community and own it. We don't have to share it with those executives who harass their beautiful young secretaries. We don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
We can control our lives if we will just learn to monetize our fame. Now, I've got 150,000 subscribers. I've realized I've become an influencer. Do you know how many subscribers Justin Bieber has on YouTube? You do. I sent it to you.
I do. I have it.
2.9 million.
Now, Carrie, comparing Justin Bieber to some artists, and this was a question I definitely had for you. You have Justin Bieber, you have Taylor Swift, you have Miley Cyrus, huge artists. But then there are artists who are not as huge, and they have lost a tremendous amount over the past year and a half since this whole pandemic started. What would you do to guide those types of artists who rely on live shows as their income, and they do have such a potential? And I see that as well. There's a huge potential there, but they're not tapping into it. Maybe because they don't know how, maybe because they haven't adapted to that, because a lot of people have had to adapt and pivot the past year, which you've done. You've done it. What would you say to those types of artists who aren't as big?
What I would do is I would ask them a question. The first question I would ask, do they have a fan base and a mailing list? Do they have email addresses? Have they collected email addresses? And if they have, that's where you start. Okay, that's how you create a YouTube channel, and you mail your fan base and say, this is my YouTube channel and this is what I'm going to do. And first of all, I guess, and if they have that, they're on their way. If they don't have that, then they need to go to YouTube and find someone that's like them and copy them. Someone who is successful and copy them. I also, in the thing I sent you, I showed you Adam Savage, Mythbusters.
Yes.
I had no idea who he was, but he was apparently, he had a TV show, a small TV show, and he busted myths. Okay, he has 5.5 million subscribers. Nobody knows who he is. Snoop Dogg. We know who Snoop Dogg is.
Yes, we do.
7.3 million. Russell Brand, again, a secondary actor who has 3.36. you build that audience. You find somebody who looks like you, sounds like you, and you analyze what they're doing. And then you ask yourself the question, how can I do it better? I got into when I got into the financial, I look every day at Graham Steffens. I look at Meet Kevin. I look at McCash. I look at my competition and I see what they're doing and I say, okay, what are they doing well? It's just like I learned from them how to set up this background. You learn from somebody how to set up your background. Why do you do that? Because that tells me something about you. I know you're a into motorcycles. I know you have some album covers there. If I look real close, I can figure out who your interests are. My life is behind me, and I share that. And then I think the most important thing you do is share yourself. You become totally transparent. Already, you've seen me almost cry.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you need to know who I am. And you need to say, I identify with that guy. I've had similar experiences. He's conquered it. Maybe I can too. And so to your artist, I would say, stop just giving them music. Give them yourself. Give them yourself. Share yourself. Share your triumphs and share your losses. Show them that you're human and they will reward you because they want someone like you. I don't like Justin Bieber, but I talked to somebody who told me I like him because he's conquered all the problems he had. All I know about is the problems he had. Okay? So there is a barrier for me there. But and if Justin would do a YouTube channel where he didn't just share his music, see, because on YouTube to make any money, you have to monetize. Justin's viewers come to see his music videos. He doesn't want an ad to break that music video. So he hasn't monetized his channel. Even though he has 62 million followers, he's not making any money off of it other than selling records.
That's crazy. Because you said that.
I would get pissed off if in the middle of Taylor Swift's song, an ad came up for Twinkies. I said, what's that all about? I'd go away. But if below that, I saw an 8-minute or a 10-minute video where Taylor showed me her backstage activities and how she related. I loved when Taylor came on as a coach on what's that music show that
Voice or I don't even.
The Voice.
Is it The Voice?
She came on as a coach, and I couldn't stop watching her because she's such a giving person, and she's so helpful to those people. Well, if I'm a artist and I've got any following at all, I get a YouTube channel. I put my 3-minute videos on it, which promotes my music, and then I integrate 8 and 10-minute videos where I just share about myself, where I have somebody that follows me around and sees me if I do get a gig, what it's all about. How does it happen? How do you end up on that? It's like if you're doing there's a lady that's doing a festival where 8 other acts are coming, from 3 in the afternoon till 2 in the morning. How do you interact with those people? What's that all? What's it like doing something like that? What's the experience? And so what I have suggested is, particularly if you have a child who has some ambitions to get in your field, and they're a teenager, because that's the market. Let them interview you. Let them follow you around. Let them create an identity. Let them be the Kardashian kids that made Jenner famous again. Let them lead you through this.
But you know what, Carrie? I think that also maybe a reason why some artists don't put themselves out there is because they become vulnerable. Now, I watched a live with you the other day, and you were so mad at someone who was being not nice to you.
Right.
And I loved it. I loved how you just came back and basically said, you know what? You're hurting my feelings. And I felt so bad for you because people can be so rotten. We all know that, any of us who are content creators. And maybe that is why, because you, Carrie, you started, when I started watching you, you had about 2,000 subscribers and you created a team. You just went at it full steam ahead and blew up to 150,000 subscribers about a year later. But you also, by doing that, make yourself vulnerable and open up. And maybe some people don't want to do that because of that reason. I don't know.
You got to get over it. Yeah, they hurt my feelings. You got to get over it.
You're so good.
I mean, just the fact, well, it's risk and reward. So
Yeah.
somebody, you know, told me to F off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it hurt my feelings. But then what I realized is, who are these people? And who here has the problem? Me or them?
You're right. You're absolutely right.
They have a problem. And I got to thinking about it after it happened, and I thought, well, I guess in my mind, it's a 18-year-old boy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If he soothed his anger by doing that to me, rather than picking up a gun and going to school, okay, we won that one. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah.
Because the other side of it, Kiki, is people who come to you and say, you changed my life. Like Sherry said to me, I now own stocks, and I know why I own them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So to me, at 76 years old, I have a purpose in my life. I didn't shortly after my daughter died. I had no purpose whatsoever. I do now. And if that requires me to take some abuse, so be it. I'll take it. I'll be the guy who takes it. But I think the message I want to deliver to your audience is, however big your fan base is, you have a fan base.
Right.
Your task now is to grow it. And as you grow it, to monetize it. As I said to the person I was talking to, I get a check from YouTube. It is ranged from anywhere from, well, I laugh. The first month they paid me $18. A year.
Hey, that's better than zero.
Yeah, exactly. A year later, they happened to pay me $18,000 for the same month.
That's great.
The next month it was $24,000. But that's only part of it. The other part of it is where you then extend your engagement more through a Discord. And in my case, it's if you want to see my portfolio and get notifications and converse, you become a part of our Patreon, and in there you pay $10 a month, the cost of 2 cups of Starbucks coffee a month, and that's where you get a second stream of income. You may remember I asked someone, I said I'd like to write another book based upon my my investment philosophy. And a young man from Austin, Texas, and we're going to release that book next month, wrote me and said, I'll write the book for you. And I said, okay. He said, because I want to get into writing. That's what I want to do. And I would like to use you as an example that I can do it. Will you work with me? And I said, yeah, I'll work with you. So we have Zoom calls, and I work with him, and I'm proofing the book right now. Well, what's he get out of it? 50% of the royalties. Okay. That's what I'll give him. So as a influencer, I'm helping other people and they're helping me. So I don't sit here by myself anymore. I help other people, they help me, and we as a community grow. And that's what I'd say to your listeners. Maybe they're saying, I don't have enough followers to do what you're doing, Carrie. Well, then are there 6 of you that do? Okay. Are there 6 of you who could put together and get a big enough following to monetize? And so you don't have to make a video every day like I do. Maybe you make one a week and there's 7 of you and you monetize that. And then the 7 of you grow big enough that maybe you can break out and make your own channel. And maybe you can get enough followers that you have your Discord and they have their Discord. I don't know. But to sit and say, I guess I'm just going to have to deal with this is bullshit. You don't have to. You have a choice. And as a result of the digital economy, it's like my book. Well, I don't know if you know this, but do you know how many of these exist? Just the
How many?
They're print on demand. They only print it when you order it. It's not like you have to create any inventory. It's not the way it used to be. You don't.
And TV is not the way it used to be. I grew up in front of the TV set.
Yeah.
You know, what do you see YouTube being for everyone within the next 5 years? Do you even see broadcast TV in existence anymore, or the way we know TV?
It'll hold its place, but that's an interesting question because I've given some thought to that. Somebody will come and buy my channel. Okay.
Really?
If you get enough followers and you're generating enough money, somebody's going to say, maybe it's Netflix. You know, you've got an audience. See, I don't understand that let's say there's 12 people who dominate the investment market and we're all working separately. Why doesn't somebody come and say, let's put you all together and create a network? Okay. Why don't we find a better, and you're all duplicating your own work. Why don't we come together? This is what will happen. You know, someone will wake up and it'll be Google, it'll be Apple, it'll be Netflix to say, wow, you people control a big part of an audience and we can buy you and monetize you. So to all your listeners, this is, do you remember when cable TV we used to only have 3 networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, and then I think Fox. No, I think Fox was a cable network. And then cable.
Fox was later, though.
And cable became a part of it. Remember when TV was free?
Remember that?
I do. So that will evolve. And I just want to put myself in a position to be a part of it. And I want to clear my mind so I can think as to what's going to happen next. Because truly, Kiki, I'm the only person thinking about this.
Yeah, right.
No, you say, yeah, right. Well, how did Sears and Roebuck get replaced by Amazon?
Know what?
How did
Terry, you
go out of business?
Right. You have so many ideas. And the other day you also said, which I found very interesting, why am I giving this information? Because someone can come along and steal it. But you give amazing information all the time. And you're absolutely right. Somebody could come along and just branch off you because of your ideas. But what are you going to do to stop that? You're never going to stop that.
No. I just hope that I can get mine off the ground fast enough that I'll be a player in the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess Kiki, what I've realized is if you've got a good idea and you just keep it in your head, that's all it will ever be.
That's right.
And
that's
so
right.
If you will reach out to your community and say, this is my idea. And again, I don't think I told you that the couple that I'm dealing with, one of my tribe wrote me after the live stream and said, hey, they live in your community. Why don't you go talk to them? I never would have thought of them. Never would have thought of them because I'm not into country music, and so I wouldn't have thought of them. But now I just spent an hour on the phone with them before I came with you, and it's probably going to happen. And once
So excited.
Once he does it and she does it, then the gates open. And can you do that for me? Can you do my goal? You know what my goal is, to get a call from Taylor Swift.
Yep. And hopefully now that it's out there, Carrie, you just met.
Exactly. Until you verbalize it, it can't happen. And then once you verbalize it, digitize it and spread it across the world. And then it will happen.
Now, Carrie, I do have another question for you. In terms of live shows, months ago, you talked about Netflix and you talked about how you think Netflix is going to be really taking over a lot of live shows. You and Nita had gone to New York, seen Broadway shows, and you have the cost of travel, the cost of tickets, and all of that. Do you still think that? Because I'm seeing videos of people from around the country in different parts. Live shows are happening. There's hundreds of people who are happy that they're happening again. Where do you think live shows are going to go next?
I think, and again, I did a bit, you may have seen it, the one that I did about Taylor Swift, where I'll wear goggles and I'll have a remote control, and I can either be on the stage with her or in the first row, or I can stand in the back, and I can interact with her, and I can interact with the people. I think virtual reality is the next step. And so now Taylor, rather than selling tickets to 30,000 people at an average price of $500 a ticket, she can sell tickets for $10 a piece and interact with 2 million people. Now, would that possibly be in addition to her live concert? Yeah, it may be. For me, I don't want to see Taylor in Yankee Stadium. I don't want that. But if I could go to a nightclub and pay $1,000 and be one of 50 people there, and then there are another million people watching her on virtual reality, I'd pay the $1,000. You can pay the 10 and have the same experience, but not be live. I think that's where it's going. I think I'll go ski Vail with my grandson, and we'll sit on a chairlift next to each other, and I'll get up and I'll get the exercise, but we don't have to leave our homes.
That's crazy.
I think it's there.
But then where does the whole community come in? Where does the whole being with people and interacting with one another? Do you think we're going to lose a lot as people with this all happening?
Yeah, you make a good point. I'm not a big crowd person, so that isn't an important part of my life. I suppose those who want that will continue to seek that. It's just like later today I'll watch the Preakness. I wouldn't pay $10 to go to watch a horse race at the actual event. I watch a lot of college football. I wouldn't pay to go to a stadium and go through all the hassle. I would rather have a headset on and actually have a camera on the quarterback's head, and I see the wide receiver, and I bring my arm back as he does, and then I switch and I see the receiver catching that ball, and I feel the hit. I'd rather do that than sit on an aluminum bench in a big stadium and have to deal with all the crazies there. I want to experience it.
Yeah.
Before I saw you, I was watching the Grand Prix at Indy. I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I went to all the Indy 500s. I would love to be in a race car and come tire to tire with somebody at 160 miles an hour. I want to experience it. I don't want to watch it. I want to be a participant. Okay, and I
So
think that's where virtual reality is going to take us.
So you would call that the disruption of live music, maybe?
No, in addition, it will give both the performer and the audience options. I went, I flew to Las Vegas, and I paid $500 to see Celine Dion. Best concert I've ever seen. A year later, I flew back and went and saw Elton John. Tremendous.
Yeah.
But I'd rather sat on the seat next to Elton and watched him play the piano. I'd rather have done that.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too. I would love to do that.
Yeah. So if I can do it and do it virtually, okay, that's what I'll do. I would love to go to the back room and have a conversation with Elton. And maybe and it's virtual. I don't know, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And
now, Carrie, sorry.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about your passion for changing and disrupting nonprofit organizations. You are a big giver to the Children's Hospital in Birmingham, and hearing how you want to keep cancer research going and help to find a cure for cancer is just so empowering and motivating. So what is your next step in trying to get a cure for cancer?
Well, I had a conversation with a gentleman who was pretty smart, and he said, well, part of the problem is that you have conflicting scientists, you have conflicting pharmaceuticals. They all want to win. So there is a lack of sharing of data. Well, that's artificial intelligence is going to push that out. It's the same issue that we have, that Google has some of my data, Amazon has some, Facebook has some. It's all going to have to be shared so that it becomes more efficient. That has to happen in the medical field too. And I think Mark Zuckerberg just shared his algorithm with all the medical labs of the country. And I think that's our first step. I know that there are probably 200 scientists working in a petri dish right now performing the same experiment, and they need to get all on the same page. So only one of them has to make the first mistake, and they all can learn from it. Once that's achieved, we'll cure cancer like that. We know through the use of CRISPR that we can go into a person's body and because cancer is a genome deficiency. Our body is not made to have cancer. Our gene gets out of whack, and if it can be put back in place, the cells of our body will kill the cancer in our body. It's like when my daughter had cancer. It's a growth. It was in her foot, and her T cells, which go when you cut yourself, your body automatically heals yourself. That's your T cells working. Well, those were cells, and her T cell says, well, that's one of us. That's one of us. That's more cells. They don't recognize that it's a rogue cell. It's a cell growing out of control because it's a fallacy in our genome. Through CRISPR, we can go in and take that fallacy out. Now, there's some ramifications. We don't know when we make that correction what the other consequences might be. We don't know that it won't make you go bald. We don't know that it won't make you put on 50 pounds of weight. We don't know. So we need
Right.
to work through that. We know what it does in the petri dish, and we're discovering what it does in rats and mice, and we're starting to discover what it does in human bodies. But once we work together as opposed to independently, that learning curve will just escalate. And I believe that within 3 to 5 years, they will be able to sequence my genome and come back and say, yes, Carrie, you have a propensity for cancer, and we can go in and take it out. Now, can I afford it? I don't know. If I was 20 years old, my insurance company would probably pay for it because they don't want that cost in the future of treating me for cancer. At 76, they say, you're a lost cause. I don't know. But those decisions will have to be made. But I believe those cures will come. Most people don't know this, but the reason we got the vaccine for the coronavirus so quick was because of genome sequencing. They went into the virus and they sequenced the genome and said, this is what it's made up of. What do we have to introduce to kill it? And that could not have been done 3 years ago. Okay, so that's how fast we're moving. I'm doing a video. You might. Do you remember the movie Back to the Future?
Of course, Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd.
Yep.
So my video's premise is, if I could take you back 14 months to March of 2020, actually March 23rd, what would you invest in? Now you've got to search your memory.
Yeah,
Okay.
you do.
Okay.
Well, okay, so probably, I know this is crazy, but restaurants tanked like nuts and then they popped back up. So for a quick thing, I would probably go for that, or airlines. But you have taught me, Carrie, to be patient, to look towards the future. So today I wouldn't do that.
No, so
Back
that's the
then,
premise of my video. We know what we do if we experienced it from the future looking at the past, but what do we do from the present looking to the future? And we have to interpret what's happening today to predict what's going to happen tomorrow. And then we merely need to invest in the companies that are going to make that happen. And so and I want to bring this back to your audience. That's what you need to do as an artist. You need to determine what's going to happen in the future. And YouTube is it. There is no other way that you can't do it on Instagram. You can't do it on Facebook. You can't do it on Twitter. You have to put your voice out there and then bring them back in and share yourself. And if you'll do that, you'll tell those record people, I don't need you. I got my own audience. You know, like Prince. I don't need you. You people want to take too much from me. I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to do it within my community. And I hadn't thought about that until we were talking. If it takes 7 of you, then come together as 7. And one of you do a video a day. But you then become consistent and you deliver it. And so your audience knows you're going to deliver it. And you build a relationship with them. And now you own them. And now you own your future. You don't have to depend on some record company or some producer or some agent who wants to live off of you. You do it on your own. And all you got to do, take control of your mind. I can do it.
Which you have done. I mean, you are such an inspiration, Carrie. Really. It's amazing. You've built a team. You've built your channel. You've built everything around you from the ground floor up. And it's just incredible to be watching what you've done. And I have to say, so you had me though months back when you quoted Dire Straits, the money for nothing and the chick for free. So do you like Dire Straits, Carrie?
Yes, I do. Yes, Well, I just think it's, and wherever we come from, that was our ambition. Money for nothing and chicks for free. At least every man I know. that was our ambition. Uh, that just spoke to me. And you and again, I don't think a lot of people know this. Who's singing backup? Money for nothing. Money for nothing. That's Sting. That's Sting.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes. Money for nothing. That's Sting.
Look at you. You are just, see, you're doing what I do, digging and researching.
Listen,
Carrie, go listen to it because it's a great song. What is the biggest thing to this point that you've gotten out of YouTube for you, Carrie Grinkmeyer?
It's funny. I've answered that several times. I think this way I'll fill the pews at my funeral.
Jeez, crow, Carrie.
I've become significant. I've become significant. I become.
You were significant before YouTube. You were significant.
I'm relevant. Tell me, unless you're involved in politics, entertainment, and athletics, you're not relevant at 76 years old, or some form. You're not. I have friends who just look at me glazed over. What are you doing that for? You don't need the money. No, but I'm changing people's lives. I'm relevant. Yeah, that's what it's all about. That's why are we here?
Yeah.
Just to walk through and take what we can?
Well, some people.
Most people.
Right?
That's what's beautiful about this, Kiki, is that it's so easy to become a 1%er. It is so easy. All you got to do is control your mind and put forth the work. It is so easy. I like to tell the story that when my son was a ninth grader in junior high school here in Mountain Brook, they had a call for the track team or the cross country team, and 56 kids showed up in the ninth grade to run cross country. When he was a senior, it was down to 5.
Wow.
That's the story of life.
That's
the story of life, is that most people are going to quit. And by virtue of them quitting, it's like, where can you see those medals over there?
Yes.
Okay, yesterday I started training again for the Senior Olympics. My thighs are hurting me today. I went out to the track and I do my 100-yard dash and I do my 220 and my heart's going up to 160. Why am I the fastest 75 to 80-year-old in the state of Alabama? Because I'm one of the few who will still do it.
Right.
Everybody else quit. Everybody else. When I was 18, I wasn't the fastest, but I am now because everybody else quit.
Inspiring.
It's
very inspiring.
Easy.
You say it's easy, but it's a lot of hard work too. You put a lot of work into what you do. You can tell.
Well, okay. Let me explain that. I get up right now. I have no idea what the video I'm going to do tomorrow is. I have no idea, and no one will tell me other than I will wake up tomorrow morning about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'll lay in bed and I said, okay, what's going on? What do you think you want to do a video with? And it's my coach. It's in my head. My coach says to me, well, what's happened what's happened this weekend that could affect the stock market? What is it people want to know? Well, if I had to do it right now, I'd say they want to know if Friday was the end of the bottom. What did we register the bottom on tech stocks on Friday? That's what they want to know. Can you verify that? Can you add anything to it? That's where I would start. I would then turn on the TV and I'd watch CNBC for Well, probably 45 minutes. I'd see if they gave me any information. I'd pick up my Wall Street Journal and I'd read that. And I'll come down here at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 10 o'clock, I'm done. Is that so much work? And then I go out to my houses and see how they're constructing, and then I'll go to the track and run a little bit more or take a walk in the park to get my steps up. And that's what my life's all about. And while I'm walking and while I'm running, I'm thinking about what might my next video be. So it's not hard. It's just
you've gotten it down to a science.
I've got it down to a discipline. There is no science involved, Kiki. It is.
Well, yeah, okay, all right. I used the wrong word.
Yeah,
sorry.
And that is, and a focus. Most of us can't focus. Most of us get diverted. Most of us allow conflict into our life and we deal with it. Mm-hmm. The reality is you deal with it to get rid of it as quickly as you can. Get rid of it so that you can come back to your focus of what you really want to achieve. And then I'll go to the Discord and I'll read the questions of what my tribe are asking and what they're talking about. And I'll be inspired by them. I'm not doing this by myself. And that's right. The cool part about it. Even though, and you know, how did you find me? How did we come together? Here we are. And you and I will both grow from this. We will. It's that easy.
Well, thank you for making it sound easy. And we can't wait to get you to 200,000 subscribers.
Okay.
And I have to say, thank you so much for literally, you have inspired me so much, Carrie. I mean, we're two different people, but I do watch you every single day. And I have to tell you, if my husband starts talking to me while I'm watching, I'm like, shh, my friend Carrie's on, be quiet. He's like, he finally figured out who my friend Carrie is. So every day. And I just, again, want to thank you for what you do for all of us every single day. And I'm really hoping to connect some people with you in the entertainment industry.
And I would invite them. My email is pretty prevalent. If I can help in any way, if they're really good at what they're doing, then I'll expose you to my audience. You know, let's work together rather than fighting singly. It doesn't have to be that way.